Hello everybody, this is your professor for the day, Dr. Minnie Matthew. How have you been, all of you? I hope you've been cheerful and taking good care of yourselves. Today I intend to take you inward, a nice and cozy little world. Are you wondering what it could be? Okay, let's go home. Oh, you're trying to tell me that you're already home. Well, this is a rereading of Grief and Comfort. Quell and Ceo's story, Let's Go Home. Quell and Ceo is a noted Indian author who is mostly known for his short stories. The story is a touching one, which explores the emotions of a young child trying to cope with the death of his mother. As he lost his father, it was only natural that his attachment with his mother grew strong. Their home is located in a serene atmosphere surrounded by greenery and hills. I'm sure most of you are looking at the picture and enjoying the scenery as well. The chirping of the birds and insects fills the air. A row of trees run along the gravel way. They crunch along a gravel towards a stone entrance. The story draws our attention towards natural beauty as the place abounds in various natural scenery. When the boy was returning home from school on Saturday, he was anticipating the fun and enjoyment with his mother, having forgotten that his mother was no more alive. He walked along with his friends. He imagined about the lemon pie his mother would have prepared, as that was the case every Saturday. His mind was filled with different kind of activities he had decided to do with his mother at home. So deep in thought he walked that he forgot about the house he now lived in, as he lived now with his aunt. The boy's joy suddenly disappeared when he reached home. He slowed down and came to a dead stop. Everything was quiet and strange. He realized that he was not living there anymore, but up the hill at his aunt's house. The boy stood still and started shedding tears. The boy had been orphaned. He was gripped by grief and sadness. My dear children, in our hearts, we all know that death is a part of life. Yet, the loss of a loved one is life's most stressful event and can cause a major emotional crisis. After the death of someone you love, you experience bereavement, which literally means to be deprived by death. The story makes us ponder over how can we help children grieve. First of all, children who experience a major loss may grieve differently than adults. A parent's death, in this boy's case he was orphaned, can be particularly difficult for small children, affecting their sense of security or survival. How can we as adults help children come to terms with grief? There are a few ways in which we can do that, and I've listed them here for you. First of all, talk honestly with children in terms they can understand. Take extra time to talk with them about death and the person who had died. Help them work through their feelings and remember that they are looking to adults for suitable behavior. So it's very important how we speak to them at this vulnerable moment. Also remember, with support, patience, and effort, you can help a child survive grief. Gradually, the pain will lessen and cherished memories of loved ones will live on. The next point I would like to look into is, what is the coping mechanism for adults who are trying to come to terms with probably the loss of a loved one, a divorce or relationship breakup, loss of health, loss of financial stability, loss of a cherished dream, loss of friendship, loss of safety after a trauma, the fear of the pandemic, COVID-19, as we all are going through this at the moment, or it can be a miscarriage, retirement, even a subtle loss in life, my dear children, can trigger a sense of grief. Whatever your loss, remember, it's personal to you. So you don't have to feel ashamed about how you feel. Also believe that it's somehow only appropriate to grieve for certain things. If a person, pet, relationship, or situation was significant to you, it's normal to grieve the loss you are experiencing. For as the quote rightly says, every man has his secret sorrows, which the world knows not. And oftentimes we call a man cold when he is only sad. That is why it's okay to grieve any loss. It's the most normal thing you could be doing. Now, how do we deal with the grieving process? Well, we can think about grief. How do we cope with this entire grieving process? It doesn't end in a few minutes. It doesn't end in an hour or a few hours. It doesn't end in a particular day or a week or a month. It can go on even for a year or sometimes even more. So how do we deal with this process? While grieving a loss is an inevitable part of our life, there are also ways to help cope with the pain. You can help yourselves come to terms with your grief and eventually find a way to pick up the pieces and help yourself move on with your life. First and foremost, acknowledge your pain. I repeat, acknowledge your pain. Only you know that you are hurt. Therefore, acknowledge that you are in a moment of pain or grief. Understand that your grieving process will be unique to you. Therefore, no matter however much others can tell you that they understand, it will only be as much as that person can believe what he or she understands. But the grieving process to you will be absolutely your own. Own it up. Be with it. Do not feel ashamed of it. Don't be in a hurry to get rid of it. Support yourself emotionally by taking care of yourself physically. That is, if you are on medication, continue to take your medicines on time. If you feel that you are being too harsh on yourself, take care to be a little more gentle. It's okay to dress up even if you're not feeling too good. Do take your meals on time. That is what it means by taking care of yourself physically. Seek out face-to-face support from people who care about you. I'd like to reread this line once again. Try to find support from people who care about you. I'm sure you understand who are the ones who care about you. do take the time to go to them frequently. After all, those who care about you would love to help you as many times as you need it. Also, learn to recognize the difference between grief and depression. I'd like to share with you this story, and while I'm reading it, do read along with me. A woman grieving the loss of her son asks the Buddha to bring him back to life. The Buddha asks her to bring a single mustard seed from a house where there has never been any death. Failing to find a single home where there had been no death, the inconsolable mother now accepts her loss. Realizing that the world is impermanent and seeking an end to the cycle of suffering, she joined Buddha's order and diligently followed his teaching. Hence, coping with her loss was the first step on her spiritual journey. Well, I'm sure you liked the story. Did you? Well, I can't hear your response, but I'm sure you did. Life and death are the two most basic components of every living person and thing on earth. Each of us will pass on from this world someday. We all probably know of someone who has left us. There is no set formula for moving through the grieving process. One can remember them with honor and gratitude. I came across the following poem and would like to share it with you. When tomorrow starts without me, please try to understand that an angel came and called my name and took me by the hand. The angel said my place was ready in heaven far above, and that I'd have to leave behind all those I dearly love. But when I walked through heaven's gates, I felt so much at home, for God looked down, smiled at me, and told me, "Welcome home." So when tomorrow starts without me, don't think we are far apart. For every time you think of me, I'm right there in your heart. The author is unknown, but I'm sure you can relate to each and every word. Well, how do we then cope with grief? Well, the best way is appreciate now. Life is truly a gift, and death reminds us that life is precious, temporary, and not to be taken for granted or begrudged. There is an affirmation that you can use every day, my dear children, which is very simple. As you get up in the morning, or any part of the day for that matter, you can always blast yourself with a few affirmations. One, something like this: I'm grateful to be alive. It's my joy and pleasure to live another wonderful day. You must also remember, my dear children, you are not your resume. While our academic and career accomplishments bring knowledge and experience, it is the way we live our life that defines our character and bring wisdom. When somebody one day gives you a eulogy, it is doubtful your GPA or workplace title will be cited. What will be remembered is how you made people feel. Be mindful. In our culture, we place far too much value on achievement, money, possessions. But in the end, when you look forward, or when you look even to the past, you would recall love is what matters and what is remembered. As somebody rightly said, forgive quickly, love truly, laugh uncontrollably. As the Chicago Tribune puts it very nicely, laughter is a core ingredient of all facets of life, even the end of life. And while there's no cure for death, there is a way you can change your frame of mind about it, and that's often through laughter. So as we come to the end of this class, my dear children, I'd like you to remember that you may reread this entire session once again, go through it, and feel free to email me at my email ID minnie.matthew@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I would appreciate your feedback and suggestions. In the meantime, do remember the pandemic is still around. Do take good care of yourself. Stay safe. God bless.